Great rising, everybody. It is Friday, May 15th, 2026, and I want to wish you the top of the day. I hope you have a beautiful day. And so, for you today, I have a beautiful reflection for you. Yes, it is a beautiful one. And it's not that long, but it's not that short, but it's a nice one. It's a little cayenne pepper for you on your Friday. I hope you love listening to it, and I hope you share it with all of your family, your friends, and loved ones. And I hope you go back for seconds for yourself. Now, you have a beautiful Friday, a wonderful Saturday, and an outstanding Sunday. And then, yes, we repeat the process again on Monday. So I see you back here on Monday. You have a beautiful, outstanding weekend. And to all my graduates all over the planet, congratulations. And congratulations to all of the parents who are there and the family members who are there for the individual loved ones who graduated from school, no matter what the grade was. You have a 5-star day.
The flower never changed. Everybody ain't looking from the same window. Author's opening note, written by Khatib Shunner. Before you even step inside this reflection, let me go on and tell you something real. Some folks gon' read this and immediately get defensive. Not because I am attacking them personally, but because truth got a funny way of knocking over furniture inside people's spirit. Truth walk in like that loud auntie at a family cookout. Ain't even take her purse off before she start exposing everybody business. Lord have mercy. And honestly, that is part of the problem now. Everybody think they seeing life correctly. Everybody think they way the only way. Everybody think their pain deeper, their religion cleaner, their politics smarter, their struggle more important, their suffering more holy. Meanwhile, humanity out here arguing like three crawfish fighting over one potato while the whole boiling pot getting drained. I remember one evening sitting near the river in New Orleans after rain fell hard enough to baptize the whole city twice. Streets shining, neon lights dancing in puddles, smell of fried shrimp floating through the air mixed with wet concrete and cigarette smoke. Somewhere in the distance, a trumpet crying like it lost somebody. And I remember watching people pass me, one couple arguing, one homeless man laughing to himself, one little girl feeding birds with a smile so pure it could soften stone. Same street, different worlds. That is when something hit me deep in my chest. We all looking at the same flower but seeing something different. Some people see beauty, some see opportunity, some see danger, some see nothing at all because hurt done blinded them. And if I am honest, I've been all four before. See, I used to think being different meant something was wrong with me. Used to think maybe the Creator forgot a piece when making me. Maybe I was too emotional, too quiet, too observant, too deep for folks who only wanted shallow conversations and loud distractions. But then one day my grandmother looked at me while cutting up her Trinity seasoning at the kitchen table and said something I never forgot. She said, "Baby, if your mold was broken after you was made, maybe heaven did not want another copy." Whew. That thing sat in my spirit for years, because we live in a world addicted to copies. Folks scared of uniqueness, scared of different perspectives, scared of people who think with compassion instead of ego. Everybody trying to become acceptable while losing themselves in the process. A child, please. Some people so busy fitting in, they done evicted their own soul. And this reflection right here is not about proving who right. It is about understanding why we keep forgetting that different eyes can still witness the same truth. Now come walk with me a while. Let us talk about perception. Because baby, the flower never changed. Only the eyes looking at it did. Everybody ain't looking from the same window. The flower never changed. One thing New Orleans taught me real early is that two people can stand on the same corner and leave with completely different stories. That city do not just expose character, it revealed perception. One person walked through the French Quarter hearing music and feeling alive. Another person walked the same street hearing noise and confusion. One person smelled gumbo drifting through the air and think about home. Another wrinkled their nose like somebody offended their ancestors with seasoning. Same city, same street, same air. Different dimensions inside the mind. That is humanity in one sentence. Different dimensions. And Lord knows people hate hearing that because most folks secretly believe their perspective got permanent residency inside truth itself. They think because they experience something one way that everybody else supposed to experience it the same. Child, that mindset done broke marriages, friendships, families, churches, neighborhoods, and entire nations. People swear their window the only window facing reality. That is why folks struggle working together now, everybody trying to dominate understanding instead of sharing it. I remember years ago helping an older man fix a fishing net near the bayou. Hot day too. Mosquitoes acting like they paid rent outside, sweat dripping down both of us. Now me, I was trying to rush because I figured speed solved everything. The old man kept stopping me, correcting little knots. I got frustrated and finally said, man, if the net hold fish, what all the extra details matter for? That old man looked at me like I was an uncooked biscuit. Then he said something I still carry today. He said, boy, a rushed net catch temporary meals. A careful net feed generations. Whew. See, at the time, I thought he was just talking about fishing. Turns out he was talking about people. Everybody move different because everybody see different. That is why one person thinks silence means peace, while another thinks silence means abandonment. One person sees correction as wisdom, while another sees correction as disrespect. One person thinks independence means strength, while another sees asking for help as courage. And somewhere in the middle of all these perceptions, humanity keeps colliding into itself like shopping carts with emotional damage. Now let me say something before somebody clutch their chest too hard. Different perception does not always mean everybody right. No. Some people perception damaged by ego, some damaged by trauma, some damaged by pride, some damaged by greed. Some folks see generosity as weakness because life hardened them. Some people see kindness and immediately start plotting how to take advantage of it. Some people see peace and call it laziness because chaos became their normal rhythm. But even then, perception still explains behavior. That does not excuse ugliness. It just helps us understand why certain souls move the way they move. And understanding changes how we approach each other. See, that is what working together actually require. Not sameness. Understanding. Big difference. A trumpet do not sound like drums. Rice do not taste like sausage. And thank the Creator for that, because can you imagine gumbo with just one ingredient? Maybe that would be depression in a bowl. That is the problem with humanity now, though. Everybody want clones. Everybody want agreement without conversation. Folks say they love honesty until honesty show up wearing muddy boots and uncomfortable facts. Then suddenly everybody needs space. I remember a woman once telling me I think too deeply, said every conversation with me felt like she accidentally walked into philosophy class while trying to buy groceries. I laughed so hard I nearly choked on my drink. But later I thought about it. Maybe people fear depth because depth requires reflection, and reflection dangerous when somebody spent years running from themselves. See, shallow water never reveal much, depth do. That is why some people cannot work together. They only comfortable with people who mirror them exactly. The second somebody think differently, they become threatened instead of curious. But nature itself disproves that mindset. Look at the flower. The gnat sees survival. The flies see decay. The wasp see direction. Meanwhile, the flower simply exists, fulfilling purpose regardless of interpretation. Now ain't that something? Human beings spend entire lifetimes fighting over perception, while purpose sitting quietly waiting for cooperation. And let me tell y'all this old folklore I heard growing up around Louisiana waters. Matter of fact, I do not even know where the story first started, because every elder told it different. That is how real folklore survive anyway. It moved like smoke through generations, changing shape while holding the same spirit. They used to speak about an old blind ferryman named Etienne Baptiste, who lived near forgotten swamp waters outside the city. Folks claimed Etienne could guide anybody safely through the marsh at night, even without eyesight. Now, naturally, people thought that man was touched in the head. Because, baby, if somebody tell you a blind man steering boats through dark swamp water full of snake spirits and God knows what else, you gonna question a few life decisions. But people still hired him because somehow nobody ever got lost with Etienne. One evening, 3 travelers hired him to cross the swamp: a preacher, a gambler, and a grieving mother. As the boat drifted through the fog, Etienne asked each person what they saw. The preacher said he saw darkness trying to test faith. The gambler said he saw opportunity because hidden routes meant hidden money. The grieving mother said she saw loneliness because the swamp sounded like crying voices. Etienne smiled. Then he said, "None of y'all seeing the swamp, y'all seeing yourselves. Ooh, Lord." Hours later, a storm rose suddenly, wind violent, water thrashing, boat rocking so hard the preacher started praying loud enough to wake dead relatives. Gambler panicking, mama crying, but Etienne stayed calm. Finally, the preacher shouted, "How can you steer through this and you blind?" Etienne answered, "Because eyesight ain't always vision." Then he pointed toward shore. All 3 travelers realized something shocking. They had already arrived safely. Whole time, the storm they feared had only been passing beside them instead of directly over them. Baby, listen. That story stayed with me because humanity do that every single day. People panic over perceptions without realizing reality, sometimes gentler than fear painted it. Some folks destroy relationships because they assume rejection before conversation even happened. Some people sabotage teamwork because pride refused to let them believe another person's wisdom valuable too. Everybody trying to be captain, nobody learning how to row. And rowing matter. Oh, it mattered deeply. Ain't no brass band in New Orleans surviving off one instrument. You need drums, trumpets, trombones, somebody clapping off beat but with passion anyway. That is community, that is rhythm, that is life. But modern humanity addicted to individual applause. Folks do not want connection, they want spotlight. That is why people exhausted now. Too much performance, not enough togetherness. Social media made it worse too. Everybody selling versions of themselves polished, shinier than church shoes on Easter Sunday. Folks filtering pain, filtering flaws, filtering humanity itself. Baby, half these people online smiling through emotional foreclosure. And the sad part is, people compare themselves to illusions all day long. That destroys perception too, because now folks think struggle means failure instead of growth. They think somebody disagreeing with them means hatred instead of difference. They think unique means broken, but hear me clearly, the Creator never mass-produced souls. That alone should humble humanity. Your fingerprints unique, your voice unique, your emotional experience is unique. Even identical twins got separate spirits. So why we shocked people perceive differently, that is not dysfunction, that is design. Now, of course, balance matter because some people misuse this idea. Somebody always do. Somebody reading this right now probably thinking, well, my perception says stealing people money, okay. No, baby, sit down somewhere. Morality still exists. Accountability still matters. Compassion still matters. Different perceptions should expand understanding, not erase responsibility. Big difference. See, mature souls learn how to hold individuality without abandoning harmony. That takes wisdom and humility, especially humility. Lord, people allergic to humility now. Everybody want to teach. Hardly anybody want to listen. Everybody want to correct. Hardly anybody want to understand. And do not let somebody get a little knowledge. Woo, Jesus. Suddenly they talking down to everybody like they invented oxygen itself. Calm down, beloved. You still microwave noodles at midnight like the rest of us. Humility allows teamwork because humility understands no single person carries all dimensions of truth. That is why communities survive stronger when people respect each other's gifts. The quiet person notices details loud people miss. The emotional person senses pain logic overlooks. The logical person provides structure emotions alone cannot maintain. The dreamers imagine possibilities. The workers build them. The healers restore people after disappointment. Everybody matter. Everybody. And when people truly understand that something beautiful happened, comparisons start dying. Because you stop needing everybody to become you. I think about my grandmother often when reflecting on this. That woman could read people without them speaking 3 sentences. Not because she was magical. She just paid attention. One day I asked her why she treated difficult people kindly, even when they acted ugly. She laughed and said baby hurt people speak different languages. Then she went back stirring beans like she had not just unlocked spiritual algebra. That sentence changed me. Because perception determines response. If you see angry people as monsters, you react one way. If you see them as wounded humans, you react another. Again, that does not excuse behavior. But understanding perception changes interaction. That is why empathy matters. Empathy allows you to realize everybody fighting invisible weather. And some storms started long before you met them. Now let me be honest too. I was not always good at this. There was a season in my life where pain made me judgmental. Hurt made me defensive. I interpreted everything through disappointment. Somebody forget called me back and I assumed rejection. Somebody criticized me and I took it like betrayal. My perception became tinted by old wounds. That happens more than people admit. Trauma become prescription glasses for the soul. Then one day life humbled me hard. Not movie humbled either. I mean real humbled. Bills stacked, spirit exhausted, feeling unseen, questioning my worth quietly while still smiling publicly because black folks got degrees in surviving emotionally while pretending we all right. And during that season, people helped me unexpectedly. Some gave advice, some gave food, some gave encouragement, some simply listened, different contributions. Same healing, that taught me something powerful. 7 + 1 = 8, 5 + 3 = 8, different paths, same destination. And humanity would heal so much faster if we stopped worshiping methods over results. Some people pray quietly, some sing, some meditate, some serve others, some cry alone beside rivers. Different expressions, same search for peace. That is why working together matters spiritually too, because nobody contains all wisdom alone. Everybody carry fragments, like broken mirror pieces reflecting portions of light. And when people unite with sincerity, those fragments form clearer pictures, and that is divine, that is sacred. That is why division hurt humanity so deeply. We were never meant to survive emotionally isolated from each other. Even nature itself teaches interdependence. Trees communicate underground. Bees pollinate flowers, rain feeds rivers, rivers feed oceans. Creation itself collaborates. Meanwhile, humans arguing over whose ego deserve front row seating, baby please. Sometimes I think heaven looked down at humanity like exhausted grandparents watching toddlers fight over crayons. And despite all this madness, I still believe in people. Maybe that make me foolish. Maybe that make me hopeful. Maybe both. But I've seen too many beautiful moments not to believe goodness still exists. I've seen strangers feed homeless people during hurricanes. I've seen neighborhoods cook together after storms knock power out. I've seen people dance together in second lines after funerals because grief and joy somehow hold hands in New Orleans. That city taught me sorrow and celebration can occupy same street. That perception matter too. Some outsiders see New Orleans and only notice broken roads, poverty, crime, and chaos. But people who really know the city see resilience, music, spiritual endurance, flavor, soul. Again, same flower, different eyes. And maybe that is the lesson humanity desperately need. You do not have to erase somebody's perspective to honor your own. You do not have to destroy individuality to create unity. You do not have to become identical to work together. Matter of fact, difference often strengthens outcomes. Imagine if every musician in a jazz band played identical notes. That would not be music. That would be confusion wearing matching outfits. Harmony required distinction. That right there preached by itself. And maybe your broken mold was never cursed at all. Maybe your sensitivity, your imagination, your quietness, your loudness, your creativity, your weird humor, your emotional depth, your different way of seeing life was intentional. Maybe the Creator made you distinct because somebody somewhere needed your exact perspective to survive something. You ever think about that? Your words might heal somebody another person cannot reach. Your compassion might soften pain somebody else overlooks. Your humor might rescue somebody from depression for one night. Your existence itself may be part of another soul survival story. That is why comparison dangerous. It make people abandon their assignment trying to imitate somebody else's role. And child imitation exhausting. People out here spiritually tired from pretending to be unbothered, pretending to know everything, pretending not to care, pretending not to hurt. Pretending success means happiness. Meanwhile, their spirit hungry as a mosquito at a swamp picnic. See, perception changes once authenticity enters the room. Because honest people stop needing constant validation. They realize purpose more important than applause, and teamwork becomes easier when ego stops demanding worship. That is another thing humanity need healing from, the obsession with being right. Lord, some folks would rather lose relationships than lose arguments. You can literally show people peace, and they still choose pride because ego addicted to superiority. But wisdom understands being understood matters more than winning sometimes. And love, real love, not performative social media caption love, real love listens, real love adapts, real love considers perspectives, real love learns. And real love understands people are complicated. We are all flowers being viewed through damaged and beautiful eyes at the same time. That is humanity, complex, messy, sacred humanity. And maybe if people remembered that, we would move gentler with each other. Maybe families would heal. Maybe communities would reconnect. Maybe conversations would replace assumptions. Maybe compassion would outgrow arrogance. Maybe people would stop trying to force everyone into identical molds, because baby broken molds sometimes create masterpieces. I know the world loud right now. Everybody's shouting opinions. Everybody's selling outrage. Everybody demanding division, but deep in my spirit, I still believe cooperation stronger than chaos. I still believe kindness matters. I still believe understanding heals. And I still believe humanity can remember itself if enough people choose compassion over control. So next time somebody see life differently, then you pause before judging immediately. Ask yourself what dimension they surviving from. Ask yourself what pain shaped their perception. Ask yourself whether your own vision been distorted too. Because sometimes the flower never changed. Only the eyes did. And sometimes healing begins the moment we realize different perspectives do not always mean enemies. Sometimes it simply means humanity trying to understand itself from different windows at the same time. Author's closing words. If this reflection touched your spirit in any way, I ask you sincerely, please share it. Share it with somebody hurting. Share it with somebody healing. Share it with somebody struggling to feel understood in a world addicted to judgment. Sometimes one reflection can become a bridge for somebody standing emotionally stranded. And if my writings feed your soul spiritually, emotionally, or mentally, I humbly ask for your support and donations toward the writer and blog. Your support helped me continue creating reflections, stories, and spiritual pieces that speak life into people who may feel forgotten, unseen, or emotionally exhausted. I truly appreciate every reader, every listener, every supporter, and every soul who walked these reflections with me. And remember this, beloved, everybody looking at the same flower differently. So move gently with people. Some souls fighting storms you cannot see.